This is Okeita. The dust here acts as a malevolent spirit, rising in ochre clouds that taste of metallic bitterness and grit. It settles on every roof and leaf, a constant reminder of the red clay Akanbi is expected to till until his bones return to it. Life here is measured by the unrelenting clang of his father's hammer. Each strike on the anvil marks a second in a sentence written by hands other than his own. At dawn, he swallows a bitter paste, a civilizing brew, meant to choke out curiosity and keep him on the village's singular, straight path. To the elders, dreams are dangerous weeds. Akanbi lives in a state of constant, quiet rebellion, standing idle in the heat while his mind wanders beyond the compound's mud brick walls. Look at the village layout. These yam fields are meticulously geometric, a grid of total control. But it stops dead at this ragged line. Beyond it is Igbo Nla, the great forest, a brooding green wall that consumes or changes you entirely. For Akanbi, the village is a sun-bleached cage. He is living under a definition of duty that offers no room for his own voice, forcing him toward a future that feels as narrow as the dusty path at his feet. The village's rhythm breaks during the heat of the afternoon. A white owl, a creature of shadow, appears in the domain of the sun. It circles once and grips the thorny branches of the compound fence, its obsidian eyes focusing directly on Akanbi. It lets out a bone-deep screech that carries the weight of a personal summons. Instantly, the fear of his father's hammer is replaced by a different kind of urgency. The owl isn't calling to the village, it is calling to him. Akanbi moves with sudden, sharp clarity. He reaches the thorn fence, a barrier meant to keep discontent inside, and pushes through. The hooks tear his skin and his tunic, but the stinging pain is secondary to the roar of his own heart. He runs away from the dust and the hammer, crossing the threshold into the trees. He has escaped the cage, but by shedding the village's rules, he has left himself completely vulnerable to the unknown. Inside the forest, the world is transformed. The sun becomes a fugitive, its light shattered into flickering coins by the massive leaves of iroko trees. The air is heavy and wet, smelling of primordial decay and ancient life. As night falls, the forest becomes a presence. The alive dark shifts with watching spirits. Whispers and rustling undergrowth strip his bravado, leaving only terror. He crawls into a hollow, rotting log to hide. In this vast wilderness, he longs for the predictable heat of his father's forge. The hated prison suddenly feels safer than this infinite, indifferent void. This graph tracks his internal sense of control. When he lived in the village, the line was steady. The moment he crossed the boundary, his agency plummeted to zero.
Inside this log, he has no power and no way to navigate the chaos. This is the danger of rebellion without a destination. The mind needs structure to survive. Without it, Akanbi would trade freedom for a familiar cage. Dawn brings a new sign. At the mouth of his wooden refuge, Akanbi finds a trail of white feathers. Each one glows with a soft, internal light, leading deeper into the emerald heart of the forest. This is the guidance of Nla, the master of wisdom. These feathers are a sacred contract, a path specifically laid for the child of destiny. Akanbi isn't just a boy lost in the woods. He is a guest being taught how to walk here. He encounters his first test. A feather rests on a toxic rainbow leaf. Akanbi chooses to trust the warning over the plant's beauty. Next, thirst tempts him toward a clear pool, but the path veers sharply away, highlighting a point of intense friction. When he moves toward the water, a low growl rumbles from the ferns. A primordial warning. The forest punishes those who ignore the signs. Akanbi swallows his thirst, turning his back on the water. He steps onto the feather trail, choosing the unseen guide over his animal instincts. He is learning the logic of Igbo Nla. Survival here requires a different kind of strength, one built on observing the grammar of the wild and respecting the boundaries it sets. The climb ends at the base of an iguaco so large its branches seem to hold up the sky.
Here, the air hums with a frequency quite unlike the village's frantic pace. Between the massive roots, he finds a hidden sanctuary. Nestled in the earth is a simple shrine. A clay bowl holds water as clear as liquid crystal, surrounded by ripe berries and polished stones. These are the rewards for his obedience, the forest's answer to his thirst and hunger. Akanbi kneels. He drinks the water not as a desperate act of survival, but as a sacred communion. The boy who spat out the village's paste now gratefully accepts the forest's offering. He has seen two different systems of order. The village order on the left is rigid, forcing compliance. The divine order on the right is dangerous, but deeply balanced. It doesn't seek to crush the spirit, it seeks to guide it. High in the branches of the colossal iroko tree, the white owl hoots once in approval, before silently taking flight toward the south. The feather trail has ended, but Akanbi no longer needs it. He has learned to read the signs for himself. Akanbi's journey began as an escape from his father's hammer, but the forest demanded more than just running away. By trading the village's rigid cages for the owl's mysterious trail, he discovered freedom isn't the absence of a path, it's the choice of which one to follow.